Good Sunday morning, friends. It is 10:15 on this Sunday morning. We are tracking Tropical Storm Cristobal as it nears the coast of South Louisiana. Most likely going to make landfall near Grand Isle a little later this afternoon. In fact, right now it is just 90 miles south of New Orleans. You can see it's not very organized whatsoever, with it being very heavy on the eastern side. That is what we were expecting. That's how it's going to be. We have some dry air wrapping around Cristobal as we speak. So some very dry air in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere wrapping around Cristobal, which I'll show you in a minute. But this is the latest from the National Hurricane Center, bringing it again near Grand Isle a little later this afternoon. By this evening, Sunday evening, it is forecast to move inland, and it will have max sustained winds near 50 miles per hour with wind gusts perhaps between 60 and 65 miles per hour. This current track, the center of the track, if this verifies, it's going to be more to the east of Baton Rouge. What does that mean for us? Well, that means that would put us on the better side of the storm. And I say better because our impacts wouldn't be as great as if it were to our west. So going forward, we're going to have to watch the setup of these rain bands ultimately, because they are bringing some heavy rain to Mississippi, Alabama, and even into the Florida Panhandle, along with South Louisiana as we speak. The heaviest of impacts, or the greatest impacts, are anticipated to be mainly along and east of I-55. But that is not going to say that we won't see impacts here in Baton Rouge. I'm still anticipating some impacts, but it may not be as significant as what maybe we were thinking before. As I mentioned, very dry air is starting to wrap around it. And you can see it's very unorganized, not going to have much more time to intensify. It'll likely make landfall with max sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. Again, just near Grand Isle, within that area, closer to Terrebonne Bay perhaps. And then it will continue to move to the north and to the northwest. And as it does so, it'll start to weaken a good bit. But again, yes, seeing a lot of dry air getting wrapped around that. What I'm concerned about with this dry air is as it wraps around this may lead to a heavier rainfall event going forward tonight and even into Monday. We may see some heavy rain start to wrap around the south side of the system, which would lead into our Monday. Right now, I will show you what's going on the radar. We are starting to see some bands moving ashore, but the heaviest of rain is to our east. You can kind of see those rain bands trying to wrap around, moving from the east to the west, and they're going in that counterclockwise circulation. If you look outside and you're not seeing any rain right now, you'll be able to kind of see how quickly these clouds are moving. It's actually pretty cool to see how they move and how quickly they are moving. As you look at the Doppler radar, I'll even zoom in to show you who's getting what right now. Baton Rouge, we're just getting a few light showers, some heavier rainfall near Washington Parish and Tangipahoa Parish, but the heaviest of rain you can just see right now going to our east. As expected, it is well to the east of the center right now. Biloxi, Grand Bay, closer to Mobile County and Baldwin County in South Alabama, Dauphin Island, even heading into the Florida Panhandle, just been getting the heaviest of rain, and several tornado warnings over there where there is a tornado watch in effect currently. Not for our area just yet, but that could certainly change going forward. As of the current timing and potential impacts, still going with today, tropical storm conditions will begin. Not going to see any widespread wind damage most likely, although the winds will pick up. Heavy rain, we have the potential for some spin-up tornadoes. Tonight, as it starts to move a little more inland, we'll see some tropical storm conditions. It'll be windy, heavy rain, flash flooding may be an issue, along with the chance for some spin-up tornadoes. For Monday, we'll still be dealing with some rounds of heavy rain. May see a band and then it's quiet, band and then it's quiet, because by then we'll be on, the storm will be to the northwest of our area. So we'll kind of get some of the portions of the southern portion of the system. So we'll get some of those outer rain bands again in southern areas of that, which I'll show you on the Futurecast so you know what I'm saying. I don't want to confuse you guys, but either way, winds will begin to relax a little bit by the morning. We'll still hold that potential for a few spin-ups there as well. That is the current thinking. That is if it does take that track closer to the I-55 corridor. Again, that would mean our impacts wouldn't be as significant, although we could still see some decent impacts here in the capital city. We have that tropical storm warning that will continue until further notice, until this has left the area. Tropical storm conditions are expected, so that includes our entire area. This is a product from the National Hurricane Center that shows the tropical storm wind probabilities, the chance and most likely timing. And as you can see, showing that red line, that is where the center of the track brings it. So again, near Grand Isle, and then perhaps to the east of Baton Rouge and closer to the I-55 corridor. So we have still around a pretty decent chance, closer to 60, 70, and 80% chance for some tropical storm force winds. And that would be later this afternoon, later this morning into the afternoon. We could see some spotty power outages, but I am anticipating the majority of that to be more to our east. As for current wind speeds, they're starting to pick up a little bit out of the north-northeast, and again you can kind of see the illustration of how that counterclockwise circulation is, because we're still, the storm is still to the south of us, but we're seeing sustained winds anywhere between 10 and 20 miles per hour right now, with wind gusts closer to 25, but I am thinking this will begin to change later this afternoon, especially this evening. As for the current storm surge watches and warnings, again, this wouldn't directly impact our area. This is more to the coast, but you can see 3 to 5 feet in the areas closer, or in that hot pink color, and then the light pink, that's 2 to 4 feet of inundation. Now our lakes, that's Lake Pontchartrain and then Lake Maurepas, but that would be 1 to 3 feet. So coastal flood advisory is in effect, even though not a storm surge watch or warnings in effect, but the areas that you see in green, that is a coastal flood advisory, as 1 to 3 feet of inundation above dry ground will be possible. And that's mainly with the winds starting to pick up out of the south and the southeast. That'll push all that water. The water has to go somewhere, so that could lead to some flooding issues over the next several days. As for what current watches we have in effect, we have a flood watch that will continue through Tuesday morning. We could see anywhere between 3 and 6 inches of rainfall widespread. Some could see over 10 inches. But again, I am thinking that may be closer to the I-55 corridor and areas to the east. Again, widespread, some areas, especially to the west of where Cristobal does track, may not get much at all in terms of rainfall, but overall the heaviest rains should stay to our east. However, if we get caught under one of those rain bands, you can just almost guarantee that our rainfall totals will increase. As for the excessive rainfall outlook, this is from the Weather Prediction Center. They're saying that most of our area, at least, is under a slight and moderate risk for excessive rainfall. So this is our flood risk. So that is a level 2 and a level 3 out of 4. That fuchsia color that you see, which includes the North Shore, parts of Tangipahoa Parish, and then again along and east of the I-55 corridor, under a high risk for flooding. That is for today and tonight. As for tomorrow, I did mention that we won't be done with the rain, even though Cristobal will be to our north by then. We're still going to see some of those southern outer rain bands from that, still going to be pulling in some moisture, deep tropical moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, which we could see some training cells or rain bands, essentially kind of a conveyor belt of moisture where they could just move from south to north, and that could mean relentless torrential rainfall for an extended amount of time. So we have a slight risk and a marginal risk for some flooding tomorrow. Could see a few spin-up tornadoes, as I mentioned. So we are under a marginal and slight risk for spin-up tornadoes today and tonight. So I need you to have multiple ways to receive warnings as we head into the afternoon, evening, late night hours, especially ones that'll wake you up. That's a weather radio. Your WIA alerts on your cell phone, make sure that is toggled on. All you do is go to your settings on your phone and then go to notifications and scroll all the way down, and then you will toggle on wireless emergency alerts. That will tell you if there's a tornado warning for your area, and with this kind of setup with tropical systems, tornadoes spin up quickly and with little to no warning, and they move very, very quickly. So this is going to be an incident and a time where you will need to, as soon as you get that warning or you hear one of us say, okay, we're watching this real closely, that's when you would want to seek shelter, because this system has created some of those tornadoes closer to the Mississippi and Alabama Gulf Coast as of now, but that threat could continue for our area. As for the risk factor on Monday, we'll still be dealing with the risk for some spin-up tornadoes, along with the potential for some damaging wind with some of those rain bands and some of those squalls. So to kind of break it all down or summarize it for you, our potential impacts. This is the current track, of course. If it moves more to the west, closer to and passes closer to Baton Rouge, of course, our potential impacts in areas to the east, you'll see a bit more in the way of some better impacts, I should say, greater impacts, that's a better word to put it. Now, if it moves well to the east of Baton Rouge and closer to the I-55 corridor, then our impacts would still be on the lower side, but still expecting some impacts. But to summarize it for our entire area, we could see anywhere between 3 and 6 inches of rainfall on average. That's through Tuesday, and some amounts could exceed 10 inches. That's mainly from the feeder bands. If a feeder band sets up over your area, you could easily double those amounts. So flash flooding will be a possibility. Wind also could see sustained winds between 30 and 40, which would make it closer to tropical storm force with higher gusts in excess of 50 miles per hour. Tornado threat is there for sure. So occasional funnel clouds, weak short-lived tornadoes could definitely spawn from some of these rain bands. As for the coastal flooding, as I mentioned, high tide is this afternoon, I believe, for a good portion of for at least our area, and that will lead to possible coastal flooding again, and especially once the winds begin to pick up out of the south into the southeast this afternoon and evening, we'll see some of that inundation for our lakes and some of our streams and such as well. Storm surge at the coast, 3 to 5 feet maximum, but that's closer to the mouth of the Mississippi River. I'll go through some of the models just to kind of show you the timing or the potential timing of some of the rain bands. This is currently stopped around right now, and that is kind of what's going on, so that's why I am leaning toward this model. This is our in-house model, the RPM, usually what we show day to day on air. That you'll see if you're watching some of the newscasts. This is around 3:30. Notice we're seeing some of those outer rain bands, and then eventually going into the evening as it makes landfall. It's not picking up on a potential center here very well, so just watch the timing. This is 8:30. Again, just some bands of heavy rain. You see them spinning. Around midnight, again, still seeing some of those bands, and then 5 a.m. it's starting to move to our northwest. We'll likely not see some heavy rain all day tomorrow. Again, it will likely pull in some of those, some more rain bands from the Gulf of Mexico, so some of those outer rain bands and on the southern side of the system. And you can see, again, they were just rolling in the same area for an extended amount of time. So I'm going back, kind of animating it for you just to show that that potential is there. Not saying it's going to be set up along I-10. That could be anywhere. That could be south of I-10. That could be closer to southwest Mississippi. Just know that that potential is there. And then going forward into Wednesday, we'll have early Wednesday, I should say, we'll have a cold front move through that'll help dry us out for the weekend. So that is some good news there. I know we're dealing with some rough weather and no one wants to deal with any potential tropical weather, but we'll get through this. No need to panic, and if it does move more to our east, then our impacts will likely not be as significant. More so, the greatest impacts are going to be felt near and well away from the center, east from the center. Here's another model. This is our RPM, our in-house model, showing potential rainfall amounts. Notice it's not showing as much for Baton Rouge, but then just to our east along I-55, it's showing significant rainfall amounts. So again, this is not saying that Baton Rouge is going to get 2.65 inches of rain, but this is just illustrating that that could be anywhere, and could still see some of these squalls just hang out over the same amount of time, and then that could lead to some flooding issues. And let me go back to the track just to show you guys what's going on. That is the latest from the National Hurricane Center. And while you're at it, if you haven't done this already, you can always find the latest on our free Be Our Proud app. Just download it. It's free, it's easy, it's available in the Google Play and Apple Store, that you can just go quickly download it, and you'll get push notifications on any weather alerts. You can track Cristobal yourself, and then some radar as well, and you can zoom into your neighborhood. Very, very good tool to have. And we'll have an update on our Be Our Proud app, and then beourproud.com. On Facebook as well, you can always find the latest. And if you do go to beourproud.com and go to the top of it, I'm going to go to it right now just so I can tell you guys what to look for. Right at the top, we have 4 banners or 4 images that says forecast, radar, weather alerts, and tracking the tropics. You can just click one of those, and then our latest update that basically just shows all of the graphics that I just showed you and summarizes everything. That is right on the front page as well, and it says latest Tropical Storm Cristobal update from the StormTracker team. But you can count on us to keep you posted on air and online. We'll likely do some cut-ins over the air as well, and then I'll go through some of your comments and answer any questions that you may have. But in the meantime, what we'll do is we'll wrap this up, and then we will have more updates throughout the afternoon. We'll have the full team in-house so we can answer all of your questions and walk you through all of this. But again, the greatest impacts are still anticipated to be to the east, along and east of I-55 as of right now. So again, we could still see anywhere between 3 and 6 inches of rainfall, some spin-up tornadoes, and then possibly some tropical storm force winds. And again, not expected to make landfall until a little later this afternoon, but our impacts would start to be more so closer to the late afternoon, evening, and overnight, and possibly into parts of our Monday. So if you haven't already, I forgot a few objects outside myself. I had to go and bring them in, and before some of the winds start to pick up a little bit. But again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything like that, just type below in the Facebook comments, and I will go through, comb through some of those and let you know, answer some of your questions and all of that. But in the meantime, we are going to wrap this up, and we'll see you a bit later right here on Facebook and beourproud.com and on WVALA Fox 44. Have a great day, guys.